Welcome to the latest episode of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app. We're on Podbean. We're on Spotify. We are also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and you can find us on Dash Radio on the Nothing But Net channel. That's every single night at 7 p.m. Also, you got the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Royal Shepherd is hosting what looks like a post-mortem, a eulogy, or something along those lines on the YouTube channel right now. So check that out for Royal and the rest of the guys. Also, Brady Hawk has your takeaways on our website, 5reasonsports.com. That's a no paywall site. And you need to check out the great sponsors of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. You'll always have a better day with any of them than you had with the Heat tonight. Check out Biscayne Bay Brewing. I'm starting with them because you need plenty of beer. This is the only independent brewery in South Florida. They're building a tap house in Miami right down the street from an arena where the Heat supposedly will play Game 3 on Thursday. We'll see if they show up. They're the official beer of the Miami Marlins and 5 Reasons Sports. Check out the Pastime Pilsner, the Tropical Bay IPA, the Marlins Lager, and the Miami Pale Ale. All are available at many convenience stores, grocery stores, and restaurants in South Florida. Biscayne Bay Brewing, the official brewery of 5 Reasons Sports. And now, tonight's very sad episode.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5
on the floor.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily show on the Miami Heat and the NBA featuring Ethan Skolnick with Alex Toledo and Greg Sylvander, part of the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
All right, Ethan Skolnick back on 5 on the Floor. The buzzer has just sounded, although we stopped paying attention a long time ago. The Bucks beat the Heat 132 to 98. That's right, 132 to 98 in Game 2 of a first-round series. They take a 2-0 lead. Essentially, this game was won in the first 5 minutes. The first quarter was 46 to 20. That's right, 46 to 20. The Heat were led by Dewayne Dedmon tonight. And that this is no disrespect to Dewayne Dedmon, who has been an absolute revelation since he came to Miami. But the fact that they were led by Dewayne Dedmon in scoring in a playoff game when he played only 21 minutes, 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists, tells you almost everything you need to know. The other stat that sticks out, Jimmy Butler was a minus 34 tonight. Greg.
So I've watched every playoff game that this franchise has ever played in. And like, even when they faced the Michael Jordan Bulls and got swept, it didn't look this bad. There were moments in this game that made me feel like when the Hornets ran over the Heat in that series, when Jamal Mashburn came back to town, like it was reminiscent of that, of the 2014 Spurs, just, with the ball on a string. Like, it was one of those helpless moments. It was awful. It was demoralizing. I've never seen the team as disconnected. I'm at a loss, honestly. Like, to see Jimmy and Bam just kind of not bring it. And I know that avalanche of 3-pointers probably took a lot out of them. And there's like something about that breaks your spirit and you start to kind of check out. But to just start the game off without an edge, to me, it's something that is not part of what the Heat want to do going forward. So I just feel like Game 3 now is going to be an absolute huge indictment on this group.
We'll talk about Game 3 in the second part of the episode. I want to get into changes that they can make, if there are any changes that they can actually make. And I think, Greg, you and I agree on one of the changes. But, Alex, we talk about disposition, right? Like, that is so much what this franchise is about. Disposition for this team has come and gone this year. There have been moments of the season where we've seen it. There have been other moments where that we haven't. We've made all kinds of excuses for it. The short break since last offseason, COVID, the injuries, and all of that kind of stuff. And I think all of it had some validity. But to me, this is absolutely effing inexcusable, what happened tonight. And to have Ronnie Rothstein, who coached the expansion team, okay? He coached John Shasky, okay? Talking about this being disgraceful, the rebounding margin at the end of the first. I mean, Ronnie pulled no punches. And I felt even Eric Reed, who we know, okay, Eric is one person on the air, one person off the air sometimes. He was calling out Bam Adebayo for not looking at the rim. Eric was doing that. What's wrong with them? Alex?
Oh, it's everybody. It's everybody. That honestly, I wasn't watching that part of the broadcast. I tried to honestly consume as little as I could because it was like that. That was the feeling I had. Like I got smacked in the face. I went on pregame and probably was the most indignant I was about that being a guaranteed W tonight. And much, honestly, it's thematic of me throughout this entire season, just giving them too much credit, thinking that this is a team from last year that'll bounce back. And they have not been that team. They are not as good as last year. The disposition stuff is absolutely true and is one of the main differences between them last season and this season, other than, Goran. So tonight was disgusting, disgraceful, exactly like old Ron Rothstein said, who you can always, by the way, expect to give you some gems on his broadcast. He's still good at what he does, man. But
yeah, Ron
honestly,
Rothstein and Dewayne Dedmon.
That was the best part of the broadcast tonight was, Rothstein, because everything else on that broadcast tonight was garbage. And I'm not talking about Eric Reed here. I'm talking about the players. So, like, that effort tonight, I'm so confused. And part of me if I'm scrambled, because I'm very much like the Heat effort tonight. I'm just all over the place. I've been smacked in the face, and the defense, like, what is going on? That was a shooting anomaly tonight, obviously, but it was more than that. It was a lot more than that. The Bucks are the complete opposite of who they were last season. I just don't even know what to say.
Well,
everything was wrong on both ends of the floor. I don't even want to try to get into specifics. They got out rebounded by like what, 25? Like this, the
Dewayne Dedmon had half of their rebounds.
They never got it under 25. Like, what insanely bad effort. I cannot get be negative about this enough. I too much hope on my end, that's for sure.
All right, so let's start with three guys in particular. Okay. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero. And not that Kendrick Nunn played well tonight, because he didn't. Goran at least gave an effort in the second half. Dewayne Dedmon was great. Ariza looks unfit for this series at times. They don't get enough, obviously, from Iguodala. So we're really talking about those three guys, because this is supposed to be.
Get the 23s tonight.
This is supposed to be this is supposed to be this is supposed to be their core going forward. And here's the thing. I mean, let's start with Bam, only because we talked so much about Bam. It's not even that he wasn't trying tonight to get to do the things that we talked about. It's just his confidence looked shot. He just looked shot. Like, it was so, when he got yanked for Dedmon early in the game, it just looked like they'd replaced the minimum center with the max center. And it shouldn't look like that, Greg.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a moment where, as much as Dedmon provided a spark for the team, and it was a good thing in retrospect, like now as I look back on it, that's going to be a spot that I'm sure stings and sticks with Bam. To get yanked like that, and then for Dedmon to immediately come out and play well, then for Spo to try Dedmon and Bam together, it just reeks of desperation and trying to figure out how they could outmuscle Milwaukee. I know. I mean, to get out hustled that way, like this is the kind of effort in a game where I just feel like it's going to take two victories in Miami to come back from that kind of loss. Like, I don't think that it's the type of situation where if you split and you're down 3-1, that the front office looks at these guys and says, okay, this is a team we can run back again. I just feel like a loss like tonight is pretty defining in a lot of ways. And I hate to like speak so generally, but it was bad. I mean, it's literally one of the worst I've ever seen.
What was wrong with Jimmy? What do we think? Because I don't think it's about this confrontation in practice. I'm sorry. I know some of that was going out on Twitter, but I've researched that pretty thoroughly. I don't think there was anything out of the ordinary in terms of what's been going on there. I really don't think it's that. Okay. But he looked defeated tonight. Like, we've never really seen him look defeated. Like, in game one, he was inefficient, but he was pushing.
It's like he's tired.
Tonight, is he tired, or is he tired of certain things? That's the question. Because if he's tired, that's not really an issue going forward because he'll get his rest in the offseason and that'll be fine. And he has every reason to be tired. He's been carrying this team, pretty much the entire season. But is he tired of some of the stuff that we've talked about? Is he tired of guys not competing defensively the way he is? Or is he tired of Bam not looking at the basket? Or is he tired maybe of some of the play calls? Who knows? Is he tired of something or just tired, Alex?
It's all of it. It's all of it. Look, like there's been adjustments, right? There's been some adjustments, but it's not all about the adjustments. The disposition thing is first and foremost. Like he doesn't have that same fight in him. He's not that same stable presence that he was all season and all of last season and all throughout the playoffs. It went away. And that's not something I'm used to seeing from Jimmy, because there's one thing between him kind of pacing himself throughout a game, trying to get everybody else involved, but he controls the pace. That was not it tonight. And again, like the adjustments part, like I got to shout out to Bud just from the start of the series, just kind of making sure Jimmy is always facing guys who are going under on the screens, making sure that he never, ever gets to turn a corner. Always, they're just doing a lot better job of controlling the paint and not letting Jimmy get to the guard switches. You're not seeing him bully guards as much. So they've done stuff to help deter him, but it's more than that. Like he gets deterred, but then there's no fight back. Like he took 22 shots last game, got to the line 10 times. It was kind of a Russell Westbrook-ish stat line, with the field goal percentage, all that. But like there was a little bit more, I think, of the try-hard Jimmy that we're used to. Tonight he took 10 shots, and I know he played a little bit less than he does in a playoff game, but
still 31 minutes. Like I had fans reacting to me saying Jimmy quit on the team, and like I didn't necessarily walk away from it that way. But I will say that I felt like this was the first time. And Dwayne had moments where he kind of like checked out of a ball game. Like, let's be honest. So like, it was the first time I think maybe we've seen that from Jimmy, because he's been that guy who like never takes a possession off. And this was the first time where he looked like he kind of had mailed it in. So I don't know, maybe that's, kind of like the overreaction that we're seeing tonight.
Well, Bam looked more like LeBron 2011 to me. Like that's right. I mean, when we talk about previous players, potato. Like Dwayne would check out for like a quarter or something when he felt like he didn't have a chance with the group he was with. Okay, look, the great late Kobe Bryant, did it famously on numerous occasions. He refused to shoot because people were saying he was shooting too much. I mean, this has happened with players before, but Bam looked to me more like LeBron. I mean, the Bam thing is like the LeBron thing. Now he's not the level of player of LeBron. Doesn't have the pressure that LeBron has. But
it's kind of the Mashburn thing.
It looked well. It is, and here's the thing about it. I said this before. Mashburn, Eddie Jones, right? Like there were just certain players that they were defined by the fact that they didn't play to the level in the postseason that they did in the regular season. Mash had moments, but all anybody remembers is him passing up the shot to Weatherspoon. Eddie Jones had moments, not as many as Mash, but he also had that disastrous, we talked about on the pregame, game 6 against, in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2005 against the Pistons when they didn't have Dwayne and they needed Eddie to step up and he didn't. I feel like there's some of that with Bam. Now, some of it's a little unfair because they were both veterans. Like they were, I mean, they were, in their primes. Okay. And that was happening.
Yeah, Bam's story is just starting to be written.
It's starting, but it is concerning the way it came on a little bit as the game went on, but there were a couple circumstances, like even one, I tweeted about this one. Like there was one sequence where he finished the play, but it came after Goran passed to him inside the free throw line, and he turned away from the basket instead of just and Brook Lopez is literally 7 feet, and it's the same stuff we talked about. And I do think now it's in his head. The Jimmy thing, I don't think he's quit on this group, but I do think he's tired. And I think that there is a certain point where guys realize they don't have enough. And that happens to a lot of great players. They just realize they don't have enough around him. It shouldn't happen after you just took a team to overtime.
Yeah, but that's what's throwing me off. Usually a Heat team after that game, they come out sharp.
Yeah, and it didn't happen.
I mean, this game, I am so shook. I have not felt this way about a Heat game since maybe 2014, the finals. Like, it's just like, wow. did that just happen? Like, I literally feel like I got punched in the face and knocked out. And that might have to do something with me catching a nice elbow to the head today, playing pickup ball. But I don't know if I'm more concussed because of that or from this game. Like, I don't know what caught me by more surprise, because I felt okay at first. But, you know, after watching this game, I'm seeing stars, man. Like, how did they do that? I've at the same time, as wrong as I was about a guaranteed dub tonight, I was right about Bryn Forbes. So I'm getting the
you were right about Bryn. I credited you that on Twitter, but you mentioned the Spurs.
My mentions were full of it. It was like 10 different tweets about it.
But Alex, I'll say this: you mentioned the Spurs, and actually Eric Reed had a Freudian slip tonight.
Told you, man. They're trained heat killers over there, man.
Well, he said Spurs instead of Bucks once, and it was reminiscent of the 2014 finals, but also it was reminiscent in the sense. Plus, you got a former
Spurs hitting,
assistant.
Man.
But the other thing that was reminiscent about it was that, LeBron in that series realized he didn't have enough. I mean, he knew it. I mean, regardless of what happened with the AC, he knew he didn't have enough. He was playing with Michael Beasley and Rashard Lewis, and he just knew
it was game 3.
And right. He knew he didn't have enough. And I felt like at some point in this game, Jimmy kind of realized, at least for this night, okay, and maybe going forward, he doesn't have enough. So there's one more thing we should hit on here, and then we're going to go to the break and then just briefly look ahead to game 3, because we're going to do more of this tomorrow or maybe the next day. But Tyler Hero tonight played 7 minutes in the first half. Okay?
We got to it, Ethan. Finally, like you asked me, the listeners will remember, you said, is there a chance that Tyler Hero could end up getting buried on the bench in a game? And I talked about him being the asset that you have to continue to put in position to succeed. And you have to make sure you keep him valuable. And we've arrived here. He got buried tonight. I mean, he played, in the garbage time, but like ultimately, like Spo did not exude confidence in him,
even with none not playing particularly well.
Exactly.
That was the other part of it. And so we're going to pivot now after the break. But I do think that one conversation we're going to have before this series is over is, are they going to punt on Tyler now? Because it's pretty damn clear that Jimmy needs a second guy offensively, not for the defensive stuff, but for the offensive stuff. He needs a second guy. And it's not Bam right now, and it's not going to be Tyler for a while, if it ever is. And so I think we're at that stage where, the Tyler thing is kind of playing itself out before our eyes. The other thing that may be playing itself out is the Kendrick Nunn thing and exactly what you're willing to pay him, because if he can't establish himself in these games that really matter, then as well as he played down the stretch of this season, it's not going to matter. All right, we'll talk about what they do for game 3. We're just each going to come up with kind of 1 or 2 adjustments we think Spoelstra can make. And by the way, he's not excused here either. This some of this falls on the coach. They were not ready to play today at all. All right, tell you about one of the great sponsors of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. If you want to bet game 3, go to MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag. Use the code 5. These baseball and basketball seasons are long. You can make each and every one matter, even if you're down 34, by having skin in the game with mybookie.ag. Whether you're placing a wager on your favorite team player or just looking for kicks, MyBookie gives you the best odds and tons of options to make your favorite sports a hell of a lot more exciting. Bet on basketball. Take advantage of the odds on all the games, or hit up MyBookie Casino for the full-fledged experience, where weekly blackjack tournaments give you and your friends a crack at prize pools up to $50,000. So go to mybookie.ag, sign up now, and use the promo code 5, F-I-V-E, to get your first deposit matched up to $1,000. Let them know we sent you. So use the promo code 5 to get that free deposit bonus and start your day off with a win, even if the team you're rooting for loses. Again, it's mybookie.ag, the code 5. All right, let's do this quickly, guys. Nobody really wants to hear much about more about this game. All right. And got a couple days to digest, but people are giving up. So you got 1 minute and I'm clocking it. Okay. Alex, give me an adjustment that Eric Spoelstra makes for game 3.
I don't know what the adjustment is, man. Like, don't get out rebounded by 1 million points. Don't go out there looking like you don't give a damn about the game. Stop acting like you won a championship already. You're not the 2007 Heat. Like, come on, man. What kind of effort is that? Like, I'm trying not to sound like so much of a frustrated fan here like I did last game, but Jesus Christ. It's hard to even, try to be objective here. Like, the worst part about it is that this is an improvement scoring-wise from last game between Jimmy and Bam. Bam scored 5-11. Like, less obviously took less shots than he did last game. Got to the line 9 times. It's a nice improvement, right? Like you would like to see that more often, but that's about it. The effort was horrible. Like Jimmy was out there looking like somebody I just don't recognize ever since he's been in a Heat uniform. And tonight was a night where they just had no threes falling, even though that's what the Bucks are giving you. I mean, forget even talking about like scoring in the right profiles, like we were pregame, like just, be in the game.
Scoring it all.
Scoring it all. Yeah, your minute is up. Greg, go.
Oh my God. Don't be down 25 all game.
No,
1
so
minute.
Truthfully, like the one adjustment is you start Goran. I think that Kendrick gets shelved, and you go with your best guys. You play them out. I think that he's going to explore the big lineups. I don't see why he wouldn't mix in more different kind of coverages to just try to shake up the offense, like zone maybe a little bit more. And I end with this. No playoff series truly starts until the road team wins a game, quoted by the great Pat Riley. So there is still hope because just let me finish with this. I've been as efficient as one can be on a night like this. There have been Heat playoff series where they've lost to and then won to, gone home and won to. Indiana is one of those in Wade's rookie year. So it's not unprecedented, folks.
It's not unprecedented, but
margin of error is now 0.
It's likely not going to happen.
Your minute, go home.
Your minute is up. And look, and I'm going to start my minute here in a second, but one thing, I don't even see, I just totally lost my train of thought. It's been that kind of night. Anyway, I'll give you a few adjustments. One, we're not putting a playoff Jimmy shirt on a site ever again because that was our fault. 2, I agree. Dragic starts. If he's going to go down, he's going to go down with his guy at this point. So and plus Goran is actually showing some life, whereas others are not. So I think so. 3, I think we saw the Dedmon Bam thing tonight. I don't think that was by accident. I think he wanted to see it. Again, this is why we probably should have seen it in the last 10 to 12 games of the season. So there would have been a little bit more of a sample size. I don't really understand. If you really weren't pushing at it to get out of the Bucks bracket, which you should have been, which we talked about, then you could have experimented more. It just seems like their entire goal was to avoid the play-in like that. And that in retrospect, getting the Bucks, as I all told you, was not a good matchup this year. Okay. And you had to get out of this bracket and you didn't. Okay. So it's really that simple. And I think the other adjustment is this. Look, they'll try to feed off the crowd. There'll be 17,000 there. Those 17,000 aren't going to really care that much that they're down 0-2 because most of them have not been to a basketball game in a year and a half. They're just going to be excited to be there, even though they'll be there in the third quarter. All right. Thanks to our sponsors, Biscayne Bay Brewing. Well, the Heat were there in the second quarter today. So it's about right. Biscayne Bay Brewing and also MyBook. It's a 7:30 game. There's no way they're on time. MyBookie.ag. Use the code 5. Good night.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Regional Sports Network.